I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone else, and secrets didn't last long. My parents worked hard, my father in construction and my mother as a nurse, and they instilled in me the value of loyalty, trust, and family. I carried those values with me all through my teenage years and into adulthood. For most of my life, I believed that honesty was the foundation of everything worth keeping: friendships, love, even self-respect. When I first met Emma, I thought I had finally found someone who shared those values. She was bright, ambitious, and had a way of making everyone around her feel like they mattered. I was immediately drawn to her, not just for her looks, but for her energy. She made me feel alive in ways I hadn't felt before. At the time, I was working in IT support at a mid-sized firm, and she had just started her career in marketing. We met at a friend's party, the kind of gathering where half the people end up outside smoking and the other half sit in a circle drinking cheap wine. Emma walked in wearing a navy blue dress that looked like it had been made for her, and the moment she smiled, I felt something shift inside me. We talked for hours that night. I told her about my small-town upbringing, my family, and my dreams of one day starting my own business. She told me about her strict parents who had always pushed her to succeed, about her ambitions to climb the corporate ladder, and about how she feared becoming just another face in a crowd. She was full of contradictions, confident but vulnerable, independent but craving reassurance, and maybe that's what pulled me in so strongly. Our relationship blossomed quickly. Within a few months, we were inseparable. I'd pick her up from work, we'd cook dinner together, and we spent weekends exploring new cafes or taking long drives with no destination in mind. She became part of my family, too. My mom adored her, and my dad would often joke that I was finally punching above my weight. I laughed along, but deep down, I thought I had gotten lucky. Really lucky. For the first 2 years, everything felt perfect. Sure, we had arguments like any couple, usually about small things, me forgetting to pick up groceries or her getting annoyed that I spent too much time on my computer. But we always made up, and I always thought our bond was unbreakable. Things started to change when Emma got a promotion at work. She was ecstatic. Her hard work had paid off, and she was now in charge of a small team. But the promotion also came with more travel. At first, I didn't think much of it. I wanted to support her ambitions, and I told myself that distance would only make us stronger. But with every trip she took, I noticed little changes. She became more guarded with her phone, more distant in her conversations, and sometimes she'd avoid eye contact when I asked how her trips had gone. One evening, after she came back from a conference in another city, I felt something was off. She hugged me when she walked through the door, but it felt mechanical, like her mind was elsewhere. Later that night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. Normally, I wouldn't dream of going through her phone. I'd always believed in trust. But that night, I couldn't resist. Something in my gut told me I needed to know. When I opened her messages, my world collapsed. There were texts from a number saved under just a first name I didn't recognize. The messages were casual at first, but then I scrolled further. Words of affection. Jokes that only people who shared something intimate would understand. And then photos. Nothing explicit, but enough to confirm what my heart already knew. Emma had been seeing someone else. I froze, staring at the screen as my chest tightened. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved with everything I had betrayed me. I felt sick. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I was misreading it. But the more I read, the clearer it became. She wasn't just cheating physically. She was emotionally invested in this other person. When she came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, smiling like nothing had happened, I couldn't even look at her the same way. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Instead, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long it had been going on, wondering if she had ever really loved me, wondering if everything we had shared was just a lie. The next morning, I went to work like nothing had happened, but inside I was unraveling. I couldn't focus, couldn't eat, couldn't even talk to my colleagues without feeling the bitterness rising in my throat. Over the next few days, I tried to act normal around Emma, but every time she smiled at me or touched my arm, I felt disgusted. My heart still loved her, but my mind knew I couldn't forgive what she had done. I started thinking about revenge. Not because I wanted to hurt her physically, never that, but because I wanted her to feel the way I felt. Broken, betrayed, worthless. The thought consumed me. At first, I hated myself for even considering it. But the more I replayed those messages in my mind, the more I convinced myself that she deserved it. So I began planning. I started small. I didn't want her to notice right away. I wanted her to feel secure, to believe everything was fine, while I slowly built the stage for what I was going to do. I began by pulling away emotionally, but not enough for her to confront me. I'd be less affectionate, less available, but I still went through the motions. I still kissed her goodnight, still asked about her day, but there was a new distance and she didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she was too distracted with her double life to care. At work, I threw myself into a project with a new colleague, Sarah. She was kind, funny, and sharp-minded. She had been through her own heartbreak not long ago, and we connected over shared wounds. At first, it was innocent. We'd grab coffee, share complaints about our jobs, but soon I realized she was becoming more than just a distraction. She was a mirror showing me what it felt like to be seen and appreciated again. I told myself I wasn't going to cheat, not physically, not the way Emma had done to me. But emotional lines blurred, and before I knew it, Sarah had become the one I looked forward to seeing every morning. She listened when I spoke, she laughed at my jokes, and most importantly, she didn't make me feel like a fool. My plan for revenge started to form during those quiet hours when Emma was away again on another business trip. I knew what I wanted. I wanted her to experience the humiliation of realizing she wasn't the only one playing games. I wanted her to question everything she thought she had in me. The first step was subtle. I started locking my phone, something I had never done before. Emma noticed and asked why, but I brushed it off with, "Work's been stricter about security lately." She accepted it, or at least pretended to. Then I began staying late at the office, claiming deadlines and meetings when really I was out with Sarah. We weren't sleeping together, but the emotional intimacy was undeniable. And every time I came home and saw Emma pretending to be tired from her travels, I smiled inside. One evening, after she had returned from yet another trip, I decided it was time to push further. We sat on the couch, watching TV, and I casually mentioned that Sarah and I had been working closely together. Emma stiffened a little, though she tried to hide it. I saw it in her eyes, the same suspicion I had once felt, and it felt good. Over the next few weeks, I dropped Sarah's name more often. I let little details slip about how funny she was, how smart she was, how late we had stayed at the office. Emma grew quieter, more withdrawn. For the first time, I saw her uneasy, and it was a strange satisfaction. But satisfaction wasn't enough. The turning point came one Saturday night when Emma announced she had to leave for another out-of-town project. I nodded, pretending to be supportive, but as soon as she left, I called Sarah. We didn't plan anything dramatic. We just ordered pizza, watched a movie, and talked until the early hours of the morning. But here's the thing. I made sure Emma found out. I posted a photo on Instagram. Nothing incriminating, just the pizza boxes and Sarah's hand holding a soda can in the frame. Subtle enough that no one else would notice, but obvious enough that Emma would. And she did. When she came back, her demeanor had changed. She was cautious, almost insecure. She asked me directly, "Who were you with on Saturday?" I looked her straight in the eye and lied. "Just some friends." "You're imagining things." The doubt ate at her. I could see it. She became clingier, more affectionate, as if trying to win me back from a battle she didn't even realize she had started. For weeks, she tiptoed around me, cooking my favorite meals, asking more questions about my day, initiating intimacy we hadn't shared in months. And all the while, I played along, pretending I didn't notice, while deep inside I felt a twisted triumph. But revenge is never as clean as you imagine it will be. The real climax happened one night when she finally broke. We were sitting at the dining table, half-finished plates between us, when she suddenly blurted out, "Are you seeing someone else?" Her voice cracked, her hands trembled, and for the first time I saw her vulnerable in a way I hadn't before. I should have denied it. I should have let her stew in her own paranoia. But something inside me snapped. "Yes," I said, "I am." The silence that followed was suffocating. Her face went pale, her lips parted as if to argue, but no words came out. Tears welled up in her eyes, and in that moment I almost felt sorry. She whispered, "How long?" "Long enough," I replied. She broke down, sobbing into her hands, repeating, I'm sorry," over and over. And that's when I said the words I had been holding back for weeks. "I know about him. I know about your trips. You thought I wouldn't find out?" Her sobs turned into silence. She froze, then slowly lowered her hands, her eyes wide with shock. She didn't even try to deny it. She just sat there, trembling, staring at me like I was a stranger. The truth had finally surfaced, and for the first time since this nightmare began, the power was in my hands. She didn't move for what felt like an eternity, just sat there, staring at me as if I had ripped the ground from under her feet. Her lips trembled, but no words came. I almost expected her to fight back, to deny, to accuse me of twisting things, but she didn't. And in that silence, I saw guilt painted across her face more clearly than any confession could ever provide. Finally, she whispered, "How did you know?" I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms, feeling the bitterness surge in me. "Your phone. The messages. The pictures. You weren't careful, Emma." Her eyes fluttered shut and the tears began again. She didn't ask which trip or how much I knew, because she knew it didn't matter. She had been caught. I wanted her to explain, to beg, to tell me why I wasn't enough. I wanted her to suffer with words the way I had suffered in silence for weeks. But all she could manage was, "I didn't mean for it to happen." That sentence, those pathetic hollow words, ignited a fire in me. I slammed my hand down on the table, making her flinch. "Didn't mean for it to happen? Emma, you planned trips with him. You sent him pictures. You lied to my face while you crawled into our bed after being with him. Don't you dare tell me it wasn't on purpose." Her sobs grew louder, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no warmth. Just a cold, empty satisfaction that the mask had finally slipped. We sat in that storm for what felt like hours, neither of us touching the food between us. I told her I had been seeing Sarah, letting the words pierce her like knives. She shook her head, whispering, "Not you. Anyone but you." As if my betrayal was worse than hers. It was strange. I'd thought revenge would feel sweet, that watching her crumble would heal something inside me. But the truth is, it didn't. Instead, it felt like both of us had lost, like two people drowning while trying to pull each other down. That night, she slept in the guest room. I lay in our bed, staring at the ceiling, the same way I had the night I first discovered the truth. Except this time, the silence was heavier, final. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. She had packed a small bag, taken her car, and left no note. I didn't chase after her. I didn't text. I didn't call. Part of me wanted to, but the stronger part of me knew it was pointless. Whatever we had was dead. Days turned into weeks. She moved out officially, taking her clothes and personal things, leaving behind the memories that haunted every corner of the apartment. My mom asked what had happened, and I gave her a vague answer. My dad, though, looked at me one evening and said quietly, "You look older, son." Like you've seen too much, I just nodded. He was right. Sarah was still around. She cared for me, checked in on me, tried to help me pick up the pieces, but I couldn't let myself fall into her arms the way part of me wanted to. She deserved more than to be someone else's revenge story. So one night, I told her the truth, that as much as I appreciated her, I wasn't ready. She smiled sadly and said she understood. That was the last time we saw each other outside of work. Life moved on, as it always does. I rebuilt myself piece by piece. I spent more time with my family, focused on work, even started going to the gym again. Outwardly, I seemed fine, but inside I carried scars. Not just from Emma's betrayal, but from what I had done in return. Because here's the thing, revenge doesn't heal. It doesn't make the pain go away. If anything, it chains you to the hurt even longer. I thought making Emma feel what I felt would free me. Instead, it left me hollow. Months later, I ran into her by accident. I was at a coffee shop downtown when she walked in. She froze when she saw me, then gave me a small, hesitant nod. She looked tired, older somehow, like the weight of everything had caught up to her too. We didn't talk, just exchanged that brief acknowledgement before she ordered her coffee and left. But in that fleeting moment, I realized if there's one thing I learned, it's this. Love without trust is nothing. And once trust is broken, no amount of revenge can rebuild it. I don't know where Emma is now, or if she ever found happiness again. As for me, I'm still searching. But I know one thing for sure. Next time I give my heart, it will be to someone who understands that loyalty isn't just a word. It's everything. And I will never again confuse revenge with healing.